I just have a simple question for you. Is the world safer under your tenure as secretary?
I think the world is an incredibly dangerous place, but we're able to deal with it more effectively and in a more secure manner because we've rebuilt our alliances, created new ones. We have more partners.
How's our alliance with our Afghan partners and allies? How's that going?
The ones that, the many that we've brought to the United States since withdrawing from Afghanistan.
Did deterrence fail Putin from invading Ukraine?
Putin was prevented because of our leadership in not preventing from erasing Ukraine from the map.
Should the invasion have happened? Did deterrence fail? We had a whole panoply of threatened sanctions, isolation, diplomatic isolation. But at the end of the day, he still invaded.
He did indeed.
Failed.
And no.
Has deterrence failed? Iran supporting terrorism and its terrorist organizations and attacking Israel.
Unfortunately, horrifically, Iran has supported terrorism for decades.
Mr. Secretary, I have here the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, the invasion of Ukraine, the unholy alliance between Russia and China, Hamas and Hezbollah attacks on Israel, Houthi attacking international shipping, hostages in Gaza, Iran flush with cash, the reemergence of ISIS-K now, 6 thwarted attacks in Europe, increased Chinese aggression, and the collapse of our influence in Central Africa and the Sahel. And we get 5 minutes for the million people I represent in a public hearing. And you're going to tell the American people with this list they're safer?
Let's go down that list. We ended America's longest war. We're better off for that. Russian invasion of Ukraine. We repelled it by bringing 50 countries together, getting the Ukrainians what they need to make sure that it couldn't be erased from the map. The cooperation between Russia and China.
Mr. Secretary, you're a smart man. You cannot, at some point you have to look back, take a step back, look in the mirror and say, our policies are failing.
No, I think
deterrence is crumbling.
I fully disagree.
The American people do not feel safer.
Totally disagree.
Around the world. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you agree with the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, who said publicly in October of 2023, the Middle East is quieter than it has been for decades?
In that moment, it was.
And then he stated it again, except you then stated just a few months later, would argue that we've not seen a situation as dangerous as the one we're facing now across the region. What did you get wrong? What did he get wrong?
I have to look at this. Well, first of all, again, in that moment, that was an accurate statement. Second, did you
have your head in the sand?
We've been very.
Did Jake Sullivan have his head in the sand?
Again,
I mean, literally, did he have his head in the sand to say the region was the most, really a braggadocious moment? It's pretty amazing then when you have to retract your own kind of treaties in foreign affairs and change the language after the entire region blows up. That's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
On the contrary, I think what we've seen as well is a very effective effort to prevent the conflict that we've seen in Gaza from spreading as a result of American leadership.
But it's spreading. Hundreds of attacks on our bases. Tell that to the 3 American Gold Star families. Let me ask you this. Did the Iranian government offer condolences to our Gold Star families on their death? Did they?
I sincerely doubt it.
I doubt it. But we offer it to the man behind their murder, Raisi, right? Okay. Let me ask you one more, and this one is near and dear to my heart, and I've engaged you privately. I've engaged you publicly. I've asked you about a particular SIV that is literally hiding day in and day out, being hunted by the Taliban. And I've gotten no response, Mr. Secretary. And that man is being hunted down as we speak, who stood and fought with us.
Can I come back? Let's take that up. Can I come back to you on that?
Please.
I want to make sure.
I mean, I'm begging you in public for this man because I'm waiting for the moment when his family tells me he's
make sure
dead.
I come back to you on that.
But more broadly, your department has testified they're processing 1,000 a month, 1,000 SIVs a month. Yeah. At that rate, with the 125,000 that we're looking at 12 years. Is that acceptable? As these people are being hunted down by the Taliban?
We've issued, since withdrawing from Afghanistan, we issued 45,000 SIVs.
Is 12 years acceptable to get our allies out?
I want to do it faster.
It's a yes or no question. Is 12 years acceptable?
No, we ought to be able to do it faster, but the part of that is...
I would just think that would be a simple no.
Well, no, of course. We want to make sure that I'd like to get everyone
10
here
years?
tomorrow, but you've got to get people out of the country.
5 years?
It's not a question of our processing ability. It's the ability to get them out
For
of the
the
country.
veterans groups that are literally exhausting their own savings as the Taliban receives aid, portions of our aid, by the way. For these veterans groups, some of which have exhausted their kids' 529 plans, their savings plans, still trying to get these people out. What expectation can we give them?
Gentlemen's time.
The expectation is that we are working every single day to do that. I hope the program, by the way, it gets extended through 26 because we desperately need it.
We'll get them more numbers, but if it takes 10 years.
Compared to the Trump administration, the Biden administration has floundered in its efforts to maintain stability in the Arab world. This administration clearly lacks a coherent strategy for the Middle East, failing to make decisive moves. This vacuum of leadership has led to renewed turmoil in the region, especially the intensified Israel-Gaza conflict. Under Trump, we witnessed strong, resolute actions. Trump's administration aggressively countered Iran, culminating in the withdrawal from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, in 2018. His tenure also marked significant diplomatic milestones, notably the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and several Arab states, including the UAE and Bahrain. These accords were hailed as monumental, reshaping regional alliances and reducing hostilities between Israel and its Arab neighbors. In stark contrast, the Biden administration has taken a more conventional diplomatic route, focusing on re-engaging with Iran to revive the JCPOA. This strategy has been met with widespread skepticism, both domestically and among U.S. allies in the region, particularly Israel and Saudi Arabia, who are deeply suspicious of Iran's intentions. Biden's disastrous withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan in August 2021 drew global condemnation. The chaotic exit and rapid Taliban takeover cast serious doubts on America's commitment to its allies and its strategic objectives in the region. The ensuing humanitarian crisis and security vacuum have had ripple effects that could destabilize the Middle East for years. In contrast, under Trump, the situation remained relatively stable with ongoing negotiations with the Taliban and a continued U.S. military presence. The Gaza situation has severely tarnished the Biden administration's image. The administration's veto of UN Security Council efforts to call for a ceasefire in Gaza has led to perceptions of U.S. complicity in Israel's actions in the region. During Trump's tenure, there were fewer severe flare-ups, and his diplomatic achievements, like the Abraham Accords, helped sustain a more stable perception of U.S. policy in the Middle East. The difference is stark. Under Trump, firm decisions and groundbreaking diplomacy. Under Biden, chaos and instability.